Hey guys, and welcome back to a YouTube video. Now in today's video, I'll be going over how you can build a very simple voice assistant in Python. So let's get started. So we're going to start by installing a few packages. So for this, we are going to need to open up the CMD. I'm just going to open up my Windows terminal here and install a few packages. So the first thing we need to do is say pip install, and we're going to install PyTTSX3, which is the Python text-to-speech library for Python 3, which I'll explain in a few minutes. I'm on Windows, so I'm going to say pip. If you're on a Mac or Linux, you're going to say pip3, obviously. I'm not going to walk you through installation steps because they're fairly simple. I will quickly mention you do need Python installed for this. So if you have not installed Python, I'll leave a link in the description to install it. So that's about it for that. So you're going to install PyTTSX3. And the next library we're going to need is going to be speech recognition. Like that. Now this is the module we're going to use for the actual microphone input. So that's where we're installing it. And we're going to install PyAudio. Now this is the last package we need. And if you're unable to install this or you get some kind of error, I'll leave a Stack Overflow link or some commands in the description that you can try out and see if that works. Regardless, we're just going to close up the command line and import those modules into our voice assistant. So we're going to import PyTTSX3 and we're going to import speech recognition, and we're going to import this as SR. So each time we want to access it, we don't want to say speech recognition, we want to say SR. This is just a lot easier, so that's what we're going to do. And next up, we need to create an engine, and this engine is just going to initialize PyTTSX3. And here what we can do is we can say engine has to equal PyTTSX3.initialize. Now what you keep seeing here is GitHub Copilot. That's just the autocompletion I'm using. So don't get confused with what that gray text is. It's basically just GitHub Copilot completing the code. That's fine. That's not solely part of this video. Just don't get confused with what that gray text is. It's not really all that important. It's just GitHub Copilot giving this autocompletion. Regardless, we're going to say engine dot say. Now this is the method we're using, and essentially the reason we want to use this is to essentially we're going to pass it some kind of string, and that string is then going to be converted into text or speech. So here let's just actually take this suggestion, which is hello, I'm your personal assistant, how may I help you? So this is a pretty long text, but essentially what engine.say is going to do is it's going to take all this text and convert that into speech. So that's what this PyTTSX3 library is meant for. It's going to convert this kind of text into speech. That's what this is. So Python text to speech, that's kind of what it does. And then we just say engine.run into it. So this is just going to speak that out loud. So let me just increase the volume here so you guys can hear it. And let's run this.
Hello, I am your personal assistant. How may I help you?
Okay, so as you can see, we get this little squeakish voice that says, you know, whatever text we passed in here. And that's great. So as you can see, this is working. So if you're not getting this kind of output, that probably means you have not installed these patches correctly. So I would recommend uninstalling them and installing them again. So reinstall them. But regardless, this is how we get the, you know, speech part of things. So now we have the, actually not about that, but now we have the ability to give back some kind of input. Now the problem is this is only a one-way communication. So the assistant is somehow able to give us a speech output, but the client or the user is not able to give in any kind of input, which is what we're going to do now. So first off, I want to quickly mention that saying engine.say engine.run wait is actually pretty difficult, because later on we're going to need to do a few other things, and it's going to be too difficult to say put these two lines every time we want to use them. So it'd be a lot better if we kept them in a method like speak. Now in here we can take in text, and then we can just literally remove all that code and then pass in text here. That's all we really need to do. And that means that this speak method is going to take in one parameter, and that parameter is what we're going to speak aloud. So engine.say and whatever text we give it. and then engine.run wait, this is just going to do the exact same thing. So this will work, but I'm not going to waste time doing it. But this will work, and it's just going to do the exact same thing. So that's all that's to do. Okay, so that is about it for that. Now let's get some microphone input. Microphone input. Now this microphone input function, we're going to put this in a method. So just a quick way to find that, microphone underscore input. And this is going to be the method that actually is responsible for grabbing the microphone. Actually, I think that's, did I spell this correctly? I don't think I, phone? Yeah, I think I spelled this correctly. But anyways, actually I'm not even going to use this method because I don't even know if I spelled that correctly. But let's just define get, maybe take command, something like that. And essentially this method is going to be responsible for the actual speech part of things. So here you're going to see we get this huge block of autocompletion. Obviously we're not going to take huge chunks like this because then there'd be no point of a tutorial. So there'd be no point of watching this video then. So we're just going to say, so we're going to write this out by hand. So we're going to say R has to equal sr.recognizer. Now recognizer, this is an object, or I believe this is a class, but essentially what recognizer is going to do is it's going to give us the tools we need to grab the microphone input. Now here we're going to say with sr.microphone as source. Now this is a pretty good completion because we're going to grab the microphone and we're going to use it as source, which means inside of this block to grab, instead of saying sr.microphone, we're going to say source because we've grabbed the microphone as source inside of this block. Next, we need to let the user know, let the client know when it's time to actually start talking, because we don't know when to start talking if it doesn't give us any meaningful output. So we're going to put listening for that purpose. And next we need to do something called pausing the threshold. Now, I actually did not have this, so a few years ago I actually tried to do this without putting this line over here, and it turned out to be a pain in the neck, because if you try and run this program without r.pause threshold, this is going to be a torture for you, because what's going to happen is this microphone is just going to wait a really long time until it gets some kind of input, and then at some random times it's just going to give you an output. It's not very useful, and essentially what we're doing is after we get the input, we're going to wait 1 second and then continue with the rest of the code. So I believe that's what this does. But this just speeds up our program a little bit, so we don't wait a long time. We just wait 1 second for some kind of microphone input. And next up, we have audio equals r.listen and listen for source. So this is pretty straightforward. I think it's very simple to understand what this does. This just listens for some input, and it listens for the source, and that's about it for that. Okay, so we're going to put the rest of this in a try and except block. So we're going to accept exception as E. You may want to print this error. So since we're on the developer side, we're just going to print that error, but most of the times you want to handle this in some way. For our simple purposes, we don't want to handle it because we're working on the developer side, but this is not all that important. Regardless, we're just going to get that, and then what we want to do, again, we're not going to accept this line because then there'd be no point of a tutorial. We're going to say recognizing, recognizing, and then we're going to say, oops, don't want, why did I take that completion? And we're going to say query has to equal r.recognize Google. Now, we don't have to call this query. In fact, let's call it something else. Let's say, I don't know, command. Is that appropriate? I don't know. I'm not sure what we can call this actually. Maybe we can call this command because I'm assuming that the user wants to give a command to the bot or to the assistant or whatever we want to do. So I think that's about it for that. So we're just going to recognize Google. Now, recognize Google, again, this is going to use the Google microphone. So there are a few others. There's going to be recognize Bing. So recognize Bing. We have IBM and Houndify as well. But we're going to go with recognize Google for our purposes. Now here we need to pass in what we want to to recognize, which is the audio. And the audio is going to be whatever we listen for over here. Next, we need to pass in the language. What language do we want to recognize this in? Here, GitHub suggesting IN. I actually don't know what IN is. I know EN stands for English. Maybe IN stands for something else. But we're going to use EN. And again, not sure what IN stands for. Maybe I'm going to have to look that up. I actually don't know what that stands for. But regardless, we can just print this command now. So we can say print. We're using an F string here. So that's why I'm able to put these brackets. And we're going to say you said and this command. So whatever command we got, we can just print that out. Now you don't need to use an F string. You can also call a dot format method, but it's a lot more professional just to use the F string. It's just a lot easier as well. So we're going to print what the command actually was. So I think that's actually it. So if I'm not mistaken, this take command method should actually be finished at this point. So let's try and call this method. So take command, this method over here. And then what we can do, now that we know what take command, or actually, now that we have take command, we're going to run this script. This is going to take a few seconds. I actually don't know if this is going to work because OBS is using my microphone. This is a test to see if this is working. Okay, I don't think it's, oh, it is actually working. So that's great. You said, I don't know, this is, or yada yada. Okay, so first off, this is, it's not perfect, obviously, but this is good enough for what we're doing. So let's just quickly run this one more time, just to make sure it is actually working. This is a test. Okay, so this is a test. You can see it's working. So it's not the best, obviously, but for our purposes, this is fine. We're not building anything too professional. So yeah. Okay, so now we have the voice part. We just need to figure out the assistant part. Okay, now we have the take command method. We have the voice. Now let's add the assistant. And for that, we're going to say, by the way, let's just send the main here. If underscore name equals in strings underscore name, then we do not want to do any of this. So essentially, this is a pretty straightforward line. If you've done programming in Python at all, you should probably know what that is. But this line is going to make sure that anything we run inside this can only be run directly. So if underscore name equals in strings underscore main, this means that this block of code will only be executed if main is being run directly and it's not being imported from another file. If you're not planning on importing this Python script from another Python script, you don't have to put this line or worry about it, but we're just going to add it here. So now we need to we actually need to start a while loop, and for that we're going to say while true. So this is going to run infinitely, and we want to always get a command. So I'm going to say command has to equal take command dot lower. Now this itself will actually give us an error because any method in Python by default returns a non-data type. And that is not good because command should be able to give us a string and we need to grab that string. So let's say if we get an exception, here we can return a string like that, okay? So we're going to return a string, just an empty string. You can also put some kind of text inside the string, but as long as you're returning a string, you can also put single quotes if you want, but as long as you're returning a string, that is good. You can also put non or something like that, but after this except block and after you return a string, we're going to return the command like that so that we can actually use it. So we're going to return a string, and we're going to return a command. So we're going to return a string so that we can convert the command into lowercase. Hopefully that makes sense, kind of, but if you didn't understand, that's fine. Just know that we need to return a data type of a string so that we can convert anything the user says into lowercase. I think it's fairly obvious why we're converting into lowercase. Obviously, as you know, Python is case sensitive, which means we need to know if, so a text in uppercase is different from the same text in lowercase, so that's why we need to do that. Now we can say, check if a specific string or a specific character is in the command. So we can check if hello is in the command. So as long as these 4 or 5 characters are in the command, then we want to execute anything inside of this. Then let's just say we want to speak something like closer, or actually this is a little bit too formal. Let's go with hello, exclamation marks 4 times. So that's good enough for us, and we're just going to send hello back to the user using a speech output. Obviously, let's say the user says bye, then what we can do, or actually let's just say something like stop instead. And then here we can speak something like, I don't know, stopping. And stopping. And then we'll break out of this loop. So when the user says stop, then this while loop here will break, and then that'll just end the loop and stop the program right there. So hopefully that makes sense. That's about it for that. And now that we have this feature implemented, let's actually test out if these basic things work. Hello. Okay, I actually don't know if this is gonna work. Pretty sure it should if I didn't make any mistakes. I think I messed something up because it's not continuing, which means I probably messed something up. So take command out lower. Yeah, I think I messed something up. I'm not sure. Let's actually just run this one more time and test if it's working. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so as you can see, it's working, and it was able to return hello to us. It's also going to listen an infinite amount of time until you actually say stop. And until you say stop, it's actually not going to stop because it's under a while loop. And I did say stop like 3 to 4 times, so hopefully it should actually stop. Oh, flip now. Oh my gosh, I actually hit the stop button.
Stopping.
Oh, well, at least it stopped. See if it working, red button to return follow to us with an increment. And to you after C, start another Lucy, stop that, not enough stuff, because, okay. So first off, I just realized how bad this recognition thingy is. And as you can see, that is working. It saw stop in the command, and it stopped. Now, first thing I will quickly mention, we are using the in keyword, which means it doesn't really matter how we say hello. We can say hello bot, hello in slow motion, or we can say hello in any way, but as long as hello comes inside that command, inside this sentence, as long as it's in it, then we're going to execute anything inside that. So that's why we can say, in hello in any format, and it just does that. So that is about it for that. And let me show you now how we can do a little bit more impressive things with this voice assistant. Let's say we want to open up some kind of website, or open Chrome, or open some application on our computer. I'm going to show you guys how we can do that. So what you can do is you can say import web browser, this module, and through web browser we can actually open up a specific link. And I'm not exactly sure, I don't actually remember exactly how to use this module, but we can just check if it says open YouTube, then it's going to say something like speaking, opening up YouTube, and then open up youtube.com. Now we cannot just pass in youtube.com. We need to say https double backslash, so hypertext transfer protocol and youtube.com. So this is the actual link. So don't just assume that if you want to open up YouTube, you just say YouTube and that's good enough. That is not actually good enough. You need to pass in this entire URL. So that is how you open a link. If you're in VS Code, you can actually hit Control and hover over this link and click it, which will open that up. Now, if I actually run this, now I will quickly mention I'm not actually going to test this point of the feature out. It's literally 2 lines, so I know it's going to work because this actually makes my recording software really glitchy. Because you know, my recording software is not that great, but it is a little bit glitchy if I open up my web browser. So I'm not gonna open up this link, but it will actually work. And besides that, we also need to open up applications. So let's say you want to open up Chrome. For that, you can import a module called, what was this? OS? Yeah, OS. This is the module we're using. And what you can do now is you can go inside this program, and then you can just put another if statement that says open Chrome, in lowercase actually, open Chrome. And from here, you can say Chrome underscore path. And this needs a string value. It needs a string to where Chrome is actually located. Where is this executable file actually located? And for that, you're going to need to, this last part's only on Windows. Unfortunately, I don't have a Mac computer, which means I don't know how this works on a Mac OS or a Linux computer. So I'm not exactly sure what the steps are on a Mac and Linux. But on Windows, you have to go here and type in Chrome. Now doing this, you're going to get this little arrow, and under that, you're going to see open file location. Now this will open up where this Chrome's executable file is actually located. Now this is where the app is located. What we can do is right click, we can go to properties, or I believe this was properties, and here you're going to see a target already selected for us. Here we can just hit Control C and OK. We can go back here and pass that in, and here you're going to see this is the actual location. Now, if you paste in some kind of directory and you get some errors around here, let's say, then try putting a double backslash over there at some point, and that will work. So this is the directory. If you get an error while doing one of these, so let's say you put /a, so if you're maybe in your home directory or something, when you say, if you get some error like this where your text is kind of bluish, try putting double backslash. That should help. Right now, we don't get any errors when putting in this directory, so there's no need to convert it into an escape character or a double backslash, but that's about it for that. Where am I? So now that we have the Chrome path, it's actually time to start it. So we can say os.start and start file Chrome path. Now I'm not exactly sure if start file is the function. I think start file should be it. Is that an actual? Yeah, okay, so start file is an actual method. I'm not exactly sure if this is the way you open it up, but essentially start file is going to take in the path to where the executable is stored, and it's going to start that file or that executable. And this feature I will actually test. Open Chrome. Oh, file not found error. System cannot find Chrome.exe. Of course I can't. Okay, so let's see why this will not actually work. Do I have to put like double backslash or something? I'm not exactly sure. Let's try double backslashes and see if this works. Because I'm not actually sure if this is how it is, or this is how it's going to work. Let's try that. Open Chrome. Oh, okay, so I can't find that directory. Am I running this in the wrong direction or something? Because that probably shouldn't be it. Am I using the wrong function? I think I'm using the wrong function. No, start file is definitely the method. I think it's because I'm in the wrong directory. Do I have to like go back a directory or something? I have to like go back to the... Let's try going back a directory just to make sure. Now. Actually, I think we're still in the wrong directory. Open Chrome. Seriously. I actually have no idea why this isn't working. Do I have to like... What do I have to do for this? Do I have to CD into program or something? Is program files 86? Okay, so I think program... Oh, wait, I think this is... I don't think program is an actual folder. I think I did something incorrectly. Did I not copy this correctly? Let's retry this. Run that. Oops, Chrome has to equal this. So I actually have no idea. Oh, so program files. Yeah. So it turns out this was actually invalid. Yeah. Okay. So it turns out I was actually in the wrong directory. This was supposed to be program files, not just programs. Let's see if it works now. Open Chrome. In hindsight, I probably should have said something like speak opening Chrome or something. That would make it a little bit better. Okay, so as you can see, Google Chrome is opened, and this is working. And while we're doing that, let's just say open YouTube.
Opening YouTube.
So as you can see, it opened up YouTube, or actually it has not opened up YouTube, it just opened up a new window. Oh, now it opened up YouTube. Okay, so that's working. And I'm not going to demonstrate this any further because I feel like I've done a lot of programming today, and that's about it for that. So I guess that's all I really wanted to show you guys. So that's about it, and if you enjoyed, please do like and subscribe, and make sure to hit that notifications button so you never miss out on another YouTube video.